Hello, and welcome to another edition of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
I'm Bill, and I think we're going to start off with multiple ball moments tonight. It's been a big ball week already, and it's only Monday.
It's very true.
So I'm going to start off, Jace, by talking about how ESPN, like Michael Wilbon, who I really respect, and Michelle Beadle, who I respect, I mean, two people that I think have a lot of credibility, are calling out ESPN for covering LeVar Ball, making too much of a story about it. Michael Wilbon, and I quote, all the networks, including this one, who put microphones in front of them for minutes at a time, that's editorial malpractice.
Wow.
And that shouldn't happen. We don't need to know what LeVar Ball says anymore. Networks like ours help him. I find it all loathsome. It's worse than reality TV. That's pretty harsh.
That's very harsh. And I've seen a
And if
Kardashian
you think
show.
that's harsh, listen to this from Michelle Beadle. And she doesn't pull any punches. When that clown goes on our network after the game, he gets his own post-game press conference, it's 100% about Lonzo's father. His father can't get out of his own way. Let the kid have his career, go away. Your shoes are garbage. Your logo is garbage. You're garbage. Let the kid play.
Wow.
She said of LeVar, he needs to stay in his lane. He's not part of this. Those are ESPN pretty much featured personalities.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're calling out their own network. And they also point to, remember when ESPN, when LeVar was yelling at Stephen A. Smith?
Yeah.
That had over 1 million views on YouTube.
I know.
And I think that's what ESPN's trying to suck into.
I mean, it's that whole chicken egg, like if they covered other things, would they get the ratings? But I mean, he brings in ratings. So why would you go away from him,
It's
everyone
like,
that's sick of him.
Michael Jackson, it's like Madonna, it's Don King, Dennis Rodman.
The Kardashians.
Everybody. I mean, it's like, this draws, and there's so many networks and there's so many areas to get your content that this so far hasn't tired. It's a story with a life of its own, right?
I mean, I think their most popular show is still First Take, and that's just two idiots yelling at each other. I mean,
yeah.
And saying
and my last comment on the ball thing before you take over with your stuff is that he got his butt handed to him in opening game in the last night, and he was minus 24, minus 27 when he was on the floor, as compared to the rest of it. And then they showed the Lakers playing without him, and they actually looked like they were doing pretty well. But I like you and I talked about months ago, we said on our show that these guys were going to be laying in wait to take him on, and they were going to put everything they had into stopping him, embarrassing him, humiliating him, making sure they got on SportsCenter for shutting him down, because they know if they shut him down, they know he's going to be on SportsCenter, and they know if they shut him down, they will be on SportsCenter.
Yes.
And so that's my ball moment. I know you have one. Go ahead.
Well, Patrick Beverley in that game literally said, your dad wrote checks, your ass is going to cash. And
yeah.
I mean, he literally, figuratively and literally pushed him around the court, which was pretty amazing. My ball moment
LeVar Ball got in an argument with Beverly.
Is a little more, I don't know, I'm excited about this ball moment. LaMelo, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm not always certain as to which is the youngest son.
I think LaMelo is the youngest one.
Okay.
I believe it's not going to go to school.
Right. He's dropped out of high school, which I'm not
he's
praising
being
that.
Homeschooled.
But he currently obviously has a shoe deal with the Big Baller brand, no matter how stupid the logo is and everything else that the Beach Shield says, which means he is making money as an amateur athlete. Which means
and the test case is, remember that guy that played for UCF that was a kicker?
Right, and he was a YouTube star, and he was making money on his YouTube channel.
And they made him, they forced him out of UCF football because of that, and they didn't let him, that was the case. But, this is high profile enough, and the Balls will have lawyers. So
right.
that they won't let this rest. I mean, there'll be a lawsuit if he can't play.
No.
There'll be a lot of attention to it.
And again, this is the one rule from the NCAA that I feel like is the absolute worst rule, and it's the rule that would change so many things for people. Like, if people are able to, you can't stop somebody from making their own, it's supposed to be America and all that wonderful stuff, and you're supposed to go out and make your fortune. And if you're taking away people's rights to make a fortune off their name, that's it's always been just flat out wrong to me. And you talk about
Yeah.
play. I mean, and this is a chance where he's through his father and his brother, he's made this brand, and he's profiting from his brand. This brand is going to pay for. I mean, he probably won't need he's going to get a scholarship, but it would pay for his school if he needed to. And it hopefully
we don't know how much money Big Baller's making, if any.
right, and maybe he'll go play in Europe for a year, or he'll play in the D League, or who knows what he'll do for that first year. But it's an archaic, really weird NCAA rule. I know Ed O'Bannon challenged it with a big court case like 15 years ago, and nothing really came out of it.
And they just kept appealing it and appealing it and appealing it until it went,
Right. But it's never made any sense to me that if you're the quarterback on the Alabama football team, and the local car dealership wants to bring you in on a Sunday for 4 hours and pay you $100 an hour to write autographs for people, that's you earned that spot. That's your name that they want to meet. You're the person they want to meet. Like, it seems insane that the NCAA is going to take away their ability to earn money, especially when you consider all the money the NCAA brings in off of their names. It seems really hypocritical and pretty terrible. I don't know. I'm really hoping that it becomes a really big issue, and that the Ball family just pursues it to the ends, and we get some sort of hopeful resolution from it. Again, I'm obviously not a lawyer, but it seems like there's something it just seems unright and unjust and all those other words that fit in that category to me. That a player can't, like the UCF kid. He was making a lot of money as a YouTube personality, and the NCAA took that away from him, or he ended up losing his feet. He stopped playing football. But I mean, it was like, it just didn't make any sense. It only hurt the kid.
And you could argue that his YouTube persona wasn't based just upon him being a football player.
No. And I think you can argue that with a lot of athletes, that it's not just, that obviously can give them, the platform, but, it's their personality. It's, other things that'll take them to that next level. And it just doesn't make any sense that they can just take that away.
Yeah,
so I'm hoping that
I'm totally agreeing with it.
So I'm hoping 2 years from now we have a giant court case, and hopefully we dismantle some of the NCAA's really strict restrictions. Because again, I don't see what these are helping. Like, I don't see how them preventing a player from profiting off their own name, how that's hurting the NCAA or hurting,
No, while we're on the NCAA topic, the shoe stuff seems to have died down a little bit. I mean, Patino was fired, Urick was fired, but I haven't seen any more names come out on this as of yet. And I'm thinking the result of this could be the end of one and done. We'll have to see how that goes, but that could be the result of this. But I'm actually really surprised that we haven't heard much more.
Yeah. And in somewhat back to the to wrap up our ball minute and bring it all together, Markelle Fultz, the number one pick in the draft, it's also not looked very good, and all the rookies have struggled pretty hard so far. So, only 3 games in, maybe he'll get it together.
And I've always said you're going to struggle if you don't play for 3 or 4 years in college. You're going to struggle.
Yeah.
You're not good. You're not LeBron James. You're not the exception to the rule. You're not going to walk in and be that guy.
No, Kobe wasn't that guy. Kevin Garnett wasn't that guy. Most guys that that came right out just aren't that guy. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
In a good way, I think.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll monitor it. I'm excited. I get to go see the Oklahoma City at Minnesota on Friday night. I'm real excited about that.
The rematch.
And that's going to be my food moment for next week, talking about the new food at the Target Center.
Nice.
Again, it probably has some quotes from Chef David Fema, who was, like I said, on a couple of shows, who's been hired to do that. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, definitely. Now, you said you have we'll move on to we usually start
I
out
got
with
a business moment. So let's talk about, the story that won't die, which is the anthem. And in this case, the NFL. Now, the NBA season started. We had no noise from the NBA at all, did we?
Not that I heard of.
Not that I heard of. Not that I saw. Not that has been in the media. Not that's been covered. But in the NFL, it's a story that continues to go on and on and on. The NFL had their owners meeting last week, and I think they were hoping to come up with some people wanted a rule passed that players had to stand, and the NFL wisely did not go there.
Why
even
is
though
that?
I think Jerry Jones was one of the advocates for it. So go mark that down in history as one of the few times that they didn't listen to Jerry Jones. But now we're starting to see, the NFL is all about money. And we're talking now that the sponsors are starting to take their case to the NFL because their products are being affected by the fans turning off the NFL. And, everybody eats pizza. And Papa John's told the league that in-game pizza sales had fallen since President Donald Trump criticized protesting players on September 22nd, leading into the season's third weekend. And that's a big, big, big partner. They have deals with the NFL and almost every NFL team.
Yes.
And they're also in with almost every baseball team, every NBA team. That's he has a deal that if your team wins, you get 50% off your online pizza order the next day. And long time, pizza and football, people and sitting home watching, that's just a good opportunity to eat pizza. And if it's falling down during the game that people aren't ordering it, that's a bad message. And Arthur Blank from the Falcons said the feelings have been expressed and felt to them. USAA, the insurance company that's really tied closely to veterans, has been in contact with the league about the issue, and they're upset. And the league, they're saying that the revenue is contractually obligated, so the owners and others aren't taking a revenue drop. But it's hard to see how the renewals and what people are going to ask for when their deals come up are going to be different. I mean, it's difficult. Now, the one statement here that I saw that really surprised me is Roger Goodell saying, and this is a quote, "The fact is we have about half a dozen players that are protesting. So we're hoping to continue to try and work and get that to zero." Do you think it's a half a dozen?
I think it's a half a dozen on most teams.
That's what I think. But this quote, "We have a half a dozen players that are protesting." He didn't say teams. He's saying the fact is we have about a half a dozen players. Maybe he should clarify that.
I think you should definitely clarify that.
And then here's one more for this business moment, which this one, of all of them, this one probably scares me the most. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the question to this national survey from Civic Science. Which of the following reasons is most important in describing why you may be watching fewer NFL games than you were last year? Okay?
Okay.
Here are your choices. Anthem protests and politics, CTE and head injury issues, rule changes to make the game less physical, broadcasts take too long, too many commercials, player off-field issues, other, and none of these I'm not watching less NFL. Well, the number one response was Anthem protest player politics, and it was as high as 41% at the end of September, and now the middle of October, it's still at 36%.
Wow.
I'm not watching less NFL was 37%. And too many commercials is 6%. Broadcasts take too long, 2%. Rule changes to make the game less physical, 2%. So it's the elephant in the room.
I think it is, but I think part of me also, I notice I've watched less football. And my reasons for watching less football are slightly different.
Okay.
Thursday night football.
What are your reasons for watching less football?
Thursday night football is terrible football.
Agreed. And Monday night football hasn't been good either.
Monday night football hasn't been good. Those early games in London, they don't fit my schedule. Either. So there's 3 weeks where we had this. The NFL growing up was this beautiful thing where it was Sunday and Monday,
mm-hmm.
and now it's spread out even further, which makes it harder to watch all the games. But I think my biggest reason is there's a lot of really bad football being played right now. I'm looking at people like Blake Bortles and whoever the Colts quarterback is.
Blake Bortles was for 300 yards yesterday.
I know, and whoever in the Colts should be completely embarrassed. Deshaun Kaiser, Andy. You look at look at the quarterbacks that were stars. Manning is gone. Brady looks good, obviously at 40, as does Breeze. But Roethlisberger's been shaky. Rivers, Manning, and then after that, the guys that were supposed to be the next guys. Your Matthew Stafford. He's not exciting to watch. Aaron Rodgers is hurt. Um, Andrew Luck can't get on the field and doesn't sound like he's going to be on the field again this year.
Matt Ryan's been mediocre.
Matt Ryan's
you predicted in your.
Yeah.
You predicted that. I got to give you a shout out, Jason. You predicted the Falcons were not going to be your team to win that division.
No. I mean,
we both liked the Buccaneers, and guess what? It looks like it's going to be the Jaguars.
Yeah, no, we picked the wrong one.
Yeah, we did.
You got Beathard in San Francisco. I just think you have a lot of teams that are really not fun to watch, and you've got a lot of really bad games being played. Because I mean, I'm going to watch the Steelers, no matter who their quarterback is, no matter how badly they're playing. I'm compelled to watch the Steelers play football.
But we love the Steelers.
We love the Steelers.
That's so different. It's hard to disrupt love.
Right, but like with baseball, I'll watch a Pirate game. I'm not going to watch anybody else. With hockey, I pretty much, outside of playoffs, I watch Penguin games. I don't watch anybody else. The NFL was the one sport that I watched all the games. But now, like, when the Steeler game is over, I feel like there were years in the past where I was slipping back between 5 and 6 games on DirecTV, and they were all down to the wire. They were all close. They were all really good games. And that hasn't been the case for like 2 years. It's been really, I mean, you've got 1 or 2 teams at the top and just a bunch of mediocrity and bad football. And it's hard to watch, I mean, as we learn in this age of content with so many books and movies and video games and TV shows and all this at our fingertips, that if you're not putting out the best product possible, I'm not going to watch. I have other things to do. And like I said, the NFL, and I think a lot of it stems with quarterback play. Like, there's just not I mean, Deshaun Watson looks pretty good. Maybe maybe there is, a resurgence, but I think we've had this glut of just bad quarterbacks. And you can't win without a good quarterback, and you can't look good without a good quarterback. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not defending the NFL necessarily. I mean, where they end, but I just feel like that's another reason.
It might be an interesting class of quarterbacks entering the NFL next year. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
There sure are enough teams that need a quarterback.
And that's the thing. There's never been this many that needed quarterbacks, including, the Chargers, the Steelers, and the Giants. So, yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Well, I am looking forward to watching the World Series.
America's team versus the Dodgers.
I like the Astros, and for some reason I like the Dodgers as well, even though they have the most bloated payroll in the game.
Yes.
But I saw somebody comment that the Astros, I think it was 4 years ago or 5 years ago, had a $24 million payroll. And they were pretty much building for the future, and now the future's here. So they're giving the Astros credit as not the 76ers for the team that originated the process.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a couple 90-plus loss years. I think one year might even been over 100 losses.
I think they did crack the 100 mark one year.
But now they are a really fun team to watch, and I'm excited to watch them in the playoff, in the World Series. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I will watch some World Series this year.
Definitely. Obviously, I work in film and television, so we have a lot of Dodgers fans here. So it's been, you always like seeing, if you can't win, if your team can't win, you always like seeing your friends' teams do well.
Yeah.
So I found myself.
Fun. I mean, Los Angeles has a lot of fair weather fans, so it'd be fun to go to one of the games at Dodger Stadium and see how many tags are still on the shirts that are being worn.
It's true, but I feel like of all the LA sort of bandwagon jumpers, I feel like
they're
Lakers,
the most. Well, they're the first team in LA.
Yeah.
So there's that. They have that going for them.
And I feel like they and the Lakers have a pretty decent. I mean, they obviously get a lot of bandwagon jumpers, no doubt.
Yeah, those are the two most historic teams.
But they're pretty historic.
Football, not so much. The Kings have a strong base of fans. And we'll see. It's gonna be interesting.
I think so. And speaking of finishing in the NFL, I guess the Steelers and Patriots are good again. The Chiefs maybe not so good again. The Packers seem like they're out of it.
Go undefeated and lose 2 games in 1 week. In 1 week.
Although the Raiders game, that 7 downs they got at the end of that game with no time left to win that game was a little shaky for me, I thought.
And, we talked about it last week on our show. I am definitely shocked that call in the Jets-Patriots game did not get more controversy, more discussion this past week.
I think most people just assumed the Patriots would win anyway.
Don't get me started.
But while it seems like we still have, our 3 or 4, it looks like it's going to probably still be Kansas City, Pittsburgh, New England, the 3 teams that are always there. Like the NFC, Are the Rams for real? Are the Eagles for real? Are the Vikings for real? I mean, Seattle
Well,
looks.
that division, the NFC North is going to be a war of attrition. I mean, you got none of those teams are going to stand out now. Rodgers going down was a great equalizer. Stafford's not having the year everybody thought he'd have. The Lions aren't having the year they thought they'd have. The Vikings are not playing with Sam Bradford. If Teddy Bridgewater comes back, maybe that's a story. But anybody, it's a pick'em division now. Even the Bears win with a quarterback completing 4 passes for 100 yards,
And 70 of it came on a trick play to Tara Cohen.
Yeah, go figure. What's with Cam Newton?
I know. Well, the NFC doesn't seem like there's any.
That team?
Yeah, like the Eagles and the Rams seem like the two best teams, and the Rams are 5-2 right now.
The Eagles aren't surprising me. That's. I thought they would be good. I thought I liked Wentz as my number one guy coming out in that draft. I liked him all along. He has not disappointed. He's been very consistent. He's got a little bit more talent around him now. I think everybody believes in him. I think he's more confident. I'm totally fine with that. The Rams, is it the same Jared Goff that they had last year? I don't know. Surely not.
It's a new coach.
New coach, a quarterback whisperer.
Yeah. And I mean, they added,
like crazy.
They added Kupp and Woods and Watkins.
And let's not forget, they're playing the last place schedule.
They're playing the last place schedule,
So
which is
we can't get overly excited about what they've done so far. They're not playing anybody.
no, it's true. But 5-2 for a team that was that bad last year, it's nice to see.
All right. So some of our predictions. I said Kaepernick could be playing in October. I'm running out of October.
Yeah, I don't think he's playing in October.
I got 1 week left. And as bad as the injuries have been and everything else, I guess I'm going to be wrong, and I'm going to be shocked that I'm wrong.
Yeah, I just don't think it's
And
going to
the
happen.
other story is, who's going to win first? The Browns or the Niners?
I like that better. I think the Niners are a little more spunky than the Browns. Outside of that first game.
I would have. Remember, I said I thought the Browns would finish third in that division. The Bengals would finish last.
Oh, I agreed with you. Yeah,
but,
that's not looking
I
very
wonder
good.
now if they're rethinking their decision not to draft a quarterback 2 years ago.
Well, they
And
passed.
again last year.
Yeah, they passed on Wentz, and they passed on Watson. I mean,
Yeah.
both those guys look pretty decent. So I mean, and I would say the Browns have done that thing that they went all analytics,
Yeah.
and I don't think anybody. I don't think
They
you
went
can,
all analytics with a bunch of baseball guys. Let's
Right.
be honest about this.
and you can't do all analytics. Analytics, I think, obviously they're an important part, and you can't deny them. But you can't just be analytics. You need to have guys that understand, the eye test and talk to a person in the room and be like, I like this guy. He's got, whatever.
Yeah.
And not, because baseball analytics aren't going to win football games. And I don't think their tanking approach really works either, getting rid of all your old players. Because football, you can't count on anybody to be around the next year.
No.
It's too violent of a game. It's too brutal of a game. The average career, I think, is less than 2 years. So, in the NBA, you can tank and, sign somebody to a second contract, and you've got, guys for 8 to 10 years. In the NFL, you just can't count on that strategy. You've got to get as many good players as you possibly can when you get them and just play your best and coach them well. I mean, it's the only way to do it. And then I guess that brings us to the other crazy start we're having this year, and we got 1-2 Warriors. I think 1-2 Cavs.
And the Magic, who are probably going to be, they're definitely going to be a bottom 5 team.
2-1 with wins over the Heat
2-1.
and the
they
Cavs
beat
by
the Cavs
30.
by 30.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's interesting to me, I'll tell you that.
And you look at the Warriors, Steph Curry got fined $50,000 for throwing his mouthpiece the other night in Game 3 of the first season after coming off a big win. So it's just, you kind of wonder what's going on there.
Yeah, it's hard to say. But like I said, I get to see the Thunder on Friday night. I get to see the Thunder the following Friday night at home against the Celtics. So I'm going to see 2 really good games: T-Wolves and Thunder, and the Celtics and Thunder. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
But did you realize that the NCAA season had opened? NCAA basketball with Kansas playing Missouri last night.
I just learned about it just 2 seconds ago when you told me.
I know. I mean, talk about being under the radar. That's as under the radar as you can get.
Yeah, it really, really is. There's just too much going on right now. It just,
Hey, it's interesting. What can you say, right?
I don't know. Not much.
No. What are you looking forward to this week, Jace? I'm looking forward to the World Series. What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking to, I mean, sports-wise, I do want to see the World Series. Mindhunter, the David Fincher series, just started on Netflix, and that's the one about America's first sort of study of serial killers.
Yeah. That looks really good to me.
I think it looks really good. I'm excited to give it a shot this week at some point to start it up. I've been looking forward to it a few months now, and I knew it came out last week, but I didn't get a chance to. I wasn't going to have a chance to consume it at all, so I'm going to start this week, and I'm very excited. I think it looks really, really cool.
Good. I'm definitely going to try that one out. And I've been reading Snowman.
Oh, what are you thinking?
I'm liking the book.
Yeah. The movie's gotten absolutely abhorrent reviews.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine it being reviewed any more poorly than it's been reviewed currently. But
I know. And you know what? See, it always ruins me. I'm my own worst enemy because I say that I'm not going to read the reviews when the movie comes out. And I didn't. I was in Mexico. Okay, I was in Mexico on Friday when the reviews came out when the movie opened. So I was keeping a low key. I was just reading the book. And I come back and people go, wow, you said you want to see Snowman. He got killed. And so everybody, my word of mouth is just ruined my thoughts. So I guess I'll wait till it comes to cable.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have sort of I don't let it affect me to a certain point. Like if it had gotten, and again, I know the numbers are all arbitrary, but if it had gotten, let's say, a 6 out of 10, which is a D in school, maybe my love, I read the book, I like Fassbender, I think it looks cool, I'm going to see it anyway. But when it's getting just trashed, it's like maybe one of the worst movies of the year, it does make me want to kind of not watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it pops up on HBO or, Netflix, I'll definitely give it a shot.
What movie came out that was ridiculously costly and got crushed in the last couple of weeks?
I don't know. I think there's been a couple, actually. It's been a rough year.
I can't think of it.
Yeah. And what are you looking forward to?
Oh, definitely the World Series.
Just the World Series?
And my first NBA game of the year.
Nice.
I mean, I've never been a Melo fan. And so I got to keep, and I've always loved Oklahoma City, so I've got to keep an open mind now on this one.
Like I said, Olympic Melo and Syracuse Melo. If you
want to tell me to think of Olympic Melo.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to try and do. Because I didn't like New York Knicks Melo. I hated him. And I didn't like Denver Nugget Melo.
No, but I think, maybe, accepting this trade and everything else is his way of being like, I can redeem myself. I can rewrite the history of my career. Because, he's had a nice career. He's probably a Hall of Famer regardless of what he does at this point on. Just based on his numbers and what he did. Because it's, all of college. And his college year at Syracuse was phenomenal. And it's, the Basketball Hall of Fame, not the NBA Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So, but maybe this can be the year that he sort of rewrites Carmelo. And
maybe. Do you have a food moment?
I don't. The only place I went was...
I don't either. I ordered some food from... my Gold Belly. I ordered this barbecue from North Carolina, but I haven't had a chance to eat it yet. So I'm going to defer on my food moment until I eat this barbecue that I ordered. It was supposed to be really it's somebody from North Carolina had a really good review, so I tried it. So I'll have to see how it goes. Yeah,
I only went to know one new place, and it wasn't worth mentioning. And I went back to Cake, America's favorite breakfast place in New Orleans, and it was delicious again.
But I would say this resort we stayed at in Cancun, or Playa del Carmen, and it was called Azul Fives. And I would have to say the food was really good for a all-inclusive. And we had a 3-bedroom suite for 4 people, and it cost me about $800 a night or $200 a person for the resort, which was amazing. All your food, all your drink, the pool, the gym, Wi-Fi, and all the water sports you want to participate in.
It's pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome. And I'd say it was a really nice resort.
Nice. All right, and I will try to find a place this week to have a food moment for next week from New Orleans. Obviously, been a big food city, so.
Okay, and I'm going to do my food moment on the Timberwolves arena.
All right, so until next week, again, please go to iTunes and rate us. Please go to Patreon and subscribe, and thank the people that listen and subscribe now. It's fantastic.
Thanks so much. We'll speak at you again next week.